fair. Mommy, make it stop. Where's the due process? This is cruel and unusual punishment. We didn't do anything wrong. Wah! Make it stop. This isn't fair.
Behind enemy lines, the ugly DEI hypocrisy. Obama's library exposes it all, a monument to failed policies. DEI failure, plain as day.
All right, Terry, you sent me a list. Can't really see it there, but there's a lot of things on here that's wrong with the Obama Presidential Center. First, let's talk about how he gave the old heave-ho, whatever, the zig-zig to his, quote, minority contractors. Can you tell me what happened there?
Yeah, so the community had what's called a community benefit agreement that they wanted him to sign, the Obama Foundation to sign. They refused to sign it, right? They refused to sign it. They said they were going to have something better come out. As we now see is that they had the big contractors, 50% of the contracts were supposed to go to minority businesses, and a lot of it did happen, but they got screwed. I mean, they're going out of business. One concrete contractor is owed $40 million, an African-American guy. Another Hispanic guy is owed $12 million. And you would think with all this outcry that's going on about what's happening at the library and these guys not getting paid, that they would step in, right? The Obama Foundation would jump in and say, let's make this right. Let's figure out. No, it's crickets. They're doing nothing to try to help these people.
Derek, this is, I don't mean to laugh because I really want these people to get some help, but I just find it unbelievable. This is Omar Sharif. He's with the African American Contractors Association. Listen to what he said about what you're talking about.
So many of our black contractors are complaining about they have not got their money. But the other side of it, a lot of the black community and the newspapers do not know that these people have not been paid. Contractors are already in bankruptcy. That's what they're saying, that if it wasn't the fact that they worked on this Obama project, they would not be under this type of problem.
All right, what's interesting here is that these are minority contractors. You would think Obama's favorite, and they're not getting paid. And yet you point out, Terry, that this entire center may be a DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion scam, telling me that these Chicago union workers are forced into 7 a.m. Equity indoctrination sessions. What do you mean by this, Terry?
Yeah, shout out to my buddy. I can't name him. I can't name his union because there'll be a backlash, right? 300 men. He personally, when he was a supervisor there, had to sit through 3 of them at 7 to 8 in the morning. Somebody from the Obama Foundation would come and teach them, DEI training to these, these brute, union guys. And they use the apple tree story. For those of you, I wasn't familiar with it until my friend told me before we jumped on the show here about the apple tree, and somebody has a ladder and the other person don't. We're supposed to be the ones with the ladder, and we need to help the ones without the ladder. Well, I think they're not helping out with their ladder for their own people in the community.
Unbelievable. We also heard Valerie Jarrett, we mentioned it, talk about how, this is on Indian land. They didn't give any money to the Indians. What land is this actually on, though? You call it a public park land heist.
Yeah, that was a public park. That was a public park for the community. And I think they got, honestly, I think it's a $10 they paid for a 99-year lease. That's what they paid. And they're supposed to have $450 million in the rears to use for infrastructure and other things, right? That it doesn't bear the burden on the taxpayers. Well, they only have $1 million. That's all they got left is $1 million, right? And there's infrastructure upgrades that are at the cost of about $400 or $500 million as well. Wow. $225 million to date is coming from the state taxpayers. $150 million from the city of Chicago. And I find it ironic, you hear about the media. It's all liberal leftist media. They're not. I'm glad you're covering, right? We could push this out everywhere. They're not exposing it because they don't want to make their boy look bad. Right? They don't want it. And then you got people from the city saying, "Oh, well, I was growing up in the city. I worked there for 30 years, but I live in the suburbs. Oh, you have no right talking about Chicago. You don't live there." Well, we have to fund it for the whole state of Illinois is funding more than the city of Chicago is.
Hey, welcome back. I guess, what do you guys think we're talking about tonight, huh? So we got 2 subjects. The first one, obviously, is about the Barack Hussein Obama, or I call him Bro Obama, library. And then the other one, we're going to talk about our friends from Antifa who are all crying like little bitches because they are going to do some time in Texas. Finally, right? So, so that's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, the first batch of Just an Idea gets a combined 450 years in federal prison for 4th of July terror attack. And they're actually already threatening to riot tonight.
God, I got to run their. I got an echo. Getting an echo. Oh, it's gone now. I want to run their backgrounds and see how to. I mean, that woman deserves to be punished, and I'm not shedding a damn tear that she's getting 100 years, by the way. But that does seem a little crazy. It does seem crazy, right? So, and again, I don't give a shit if she's. Never mind, I won't say that. But well, 100 years, 50 years, they have to have some priors. I mean, unless they're I don't know, unless they're going under terrorism, but holy shit.
Well, yeah, they got terrorism, attempted murder. So yeah, I mean, it adds up. And yeah, I don't know if she did she identify as a woman, Terry? You might have just misgendered it.
Yeah. Just so you know, right? Noriega. You guys remember Noriega, old folks?
Yes. Operation Pineapple Face.
Yeah, Noriega got 45 years, right? He was the head of a country for major, cartel narcotics operations. So that's pretty bad, and you got 45 years. So again, I'm not shedding a tear for these folks. I don't care if they rot and die in prison, right? And all their friends. But it kind of seems a crazy precedent. So we got to look into that a little bit. Find out.
Dude, it's Texas. They don't screw around. It's not like the rest of the country. You try to kill police.
Oh, that was not. Huh?
I think it was federal, but it is in Texas. So I mean, they're going to have a Texas judge, even if it's a federal court. And
just so you know, I know this shit, bro. They got to follow the federal sentencing guidelines. It doesn't matter if it's Illinois or Texas. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, the judge in Texas is going to go with the maximum, whereas the judge in Illinois is going to give them the minimum. So that's probably a big part of it.
Speaking about maximums, I'm doing 3 parts of my life, right? Mike knows about this. I don't know if I said this really before. There's 3 phases of Terry Newsom's life. The first phase, organized crime, cartels, stupid asshole, big time trouble. I work with the Cali cartel, organized crime, the Herreras, the Cubans. It was pretty bad. I straightened my life out. And so we went back through the old police reports and the federal agents and the DEA and stuff. And my range was from 10 years to life in prison. So,
Thanks.
So I guess 100 years is not that bad.
Well, I'm glad they didn't give you life in prison.
Yeah. And we're going to explain all that shit, right? So anyway, I'm going to talk about when this comes out, it's coming out really soon. It was 5-hour interview. It's a long version interview talking about how I got into that underworld and all these different elements that I was involved with, and friends dying, and going to Mexico and Colombians, Cubans, Cali cartel, hand grenades, rocket launchers, all kinds of crazy shit. And then the next one we're going to be doing really soon. Getting back with Frank Lardino, if you're not following him, the Warrior, my friend Chad Laveau. They're both guys interviewed me because Chad knows me much closer than Frank did. And we're talking about the corporate world that I was involved in. I worked for one of the, for those of you who don't know, goofy as I am, I worked for one of the biggest, prestigious, global consulting firms in the world out of Paris, France. And, I went from changing my life from, being who I was back then to getting a degree at 37, bettering myself, working with people that are highly educated. I didn't start at the top. I worked at a couple little companies. I quickly went to one of the best. Thinking my life was going to be surrounded by people that are more legitimate, less sleazy, easier to trust. The corporate world, for those of you guys that are not familiar, outside what you see in the news, bunch of fucking scumbags, you guys. Backstabbing, sleazy, lying. And they're not going to backstab you criminally and kill you or beat you up or rob you or beef on you or whatever, right? They will step on you for a promotion. They'll step on you just for recognition or for, credit within the corporate world, right? I mean, And I dropped my guard in the very beginning, but then once I put my guard up, I had a reputation of just, pouncing those guys, just like I do with these other dorks out here. Except I did it in a corporate way. I did slip back a few times, and we'll talk about that. Terry popped up his ugly head. And then the last part of my life, which most of you guys are familiar with that follow us, is the political side of my life. And ironically, that's worse than the criminal. I was thinking I was going to progress, right? And then get involved with the politics of people that run our country, our cities, our state. We've got bigger creeps and weirdos involved in politics than guys I was in prison with,
Yep.
let alone guys on the street. So it's like kind of odd. It's like I'm sitting there trying to change my life. And the further I think I'm bettering myself, the bigger creeps we're involved with. So that's going to be done later. And that's not going to be done until I have this big court date on June 30th. Everybody knows what that court date is, when I stop and kick that shit out. Then I can talk freely again.
Yes.
So, all right, let's get back to our friend Barack Obama. And what a piece of shit that guy was. Oh my God. Hope and change, right? Elections have consequences. This guy transforming America. Oh boy, did he? He accelerated us off the cliff, right? With this Marxist
Yes.
ideology. And, he was against gay marriages, all the shit. He lied his ass off. He got in. He embedded deep state criminal scumbags throughout the whole, Department of Justice, and really set us back in a big, big way. So, forced DEI down our throats, which is ironically what we're going to talk about. Big push of, indoctrinating our children's all the way from before kindergarten all the way up through college and into the corporate world, right? DEI,
Yep.
DEI, DEI, diversity, inclusion, equity, all that stupid ass bullshit that does not, diversity makes us stronger. No, it doesn't. Diversity does not make us stronger. Now, there's nothing wrong with being diverse from a perspective of hiring the right person with the right skill sets, regardless of their color or religion, right? And that's
Exactly.
what we always do. Any company, any sports team, anything. You hire the best athlete to fit that position, right? Well, with this DI bullshit, what they're forcing you is to hire somebody, basically racially discriminate, and hire someone just because of the tone of their skin. And it's bullshit. So Barack Obama, everyone saw the national news, right? That there's a number of minority contractors, and I mentioned it in Grant's show, some are going out of business. And when they forecasted this, like typical government contract that was supposed to be 350 million, it's close to $1 billion now. It's 850. But you guys know when the scope creeps come in, it's going to be over $1 billion. Mark my word.
Of
It's gonna be
course.
over $1 billion when all the bullshit comes out. It's going to be over $1 billion. And typical in Chicago too, by the way. And what they did was they wanted 50% of the construction done by minority contractors. What I briefly mentioned in the interview with Grant was they had it's a CBA, it's a community benefits agreement that was actually developed by the people in the community in Hyde Park and around the Obama Library. And that was an agreement to make sure that these people got employed, not just, people, but also the contractors had a fair shot. So Obama refused to sign that, the Obama Foundation. I don't even know if Obama knew about it. I don't even think he gives a shit outside of showing up for the grand opening, right? And
Of course.
they didn't sign it. Is that ironic, folks? Right? They didn't sign it, refused to sign it. They said it didn't go far enough, which is bullshit. It's a total lie. It's bullshit. So they refused to sign it. They said 50% had to be minority contractors. A lot of what they did was they pumped out the work to big contractors, right? And then they have a requirement of minority type contractors. So, for instance, when I worked for that big global company, and depending on, especially during the DI bullshit, right? So we had to sign when we signed master service agreements, and what's your DI plan? What's your DI strategy? Oh, this percentage of your work has to be DI. So we'd hire the smaller companies, right? And sorry, but all due respect, a lot of those DEI companies are full of shit. They get a woman to put her name on there, and it's
Yep.
not really a minority company. They got somebody that's a 10th Hispanic, and they use that bullshit to scam the system. I'm just telling you, most of those contracts are bullshit. They're not really minority. And then many times when we're forced to hire these minority companies, they're not even competent anyway. It's not a racial or racist comment. It's companies that are built off of checking off the box for the trend of DEI, right? So what
Especially in
happened?
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, buddy.
Especially in construction, because like again, you guys all know I ran staffing companies for 14 years. You see this all the time. You'll have minority-owned companies that target just public business, and they do it because they know they can leverage that. They can get more dollars than they would in the private sector doing the same work. And same thing, a lot of them will just outsource it to people. They'll hire all their employees will be through staffing agencies or whatever. It might technically be a minority-owned business on paper, but it really doesn't reflect anything going back to the community or anything else. They just know that they can manipulate the system, get these big contracts, and then hire a bunch of temps to actually do the work. So it always ends up being subpar.
Yeah. Man, I think I got to hit this light down because, you know what, with this light up there, my hair doesn't look like Elvis anymore. Right? It looks a little
Yeah, you got to
thin.
put the lights in front of you and kind of down.
The light's making my Elvis wig look thin. What the hell's going on? Yeah, so part of the problem here is these big contractors who subcontract it to some of these minority firms, fake or real or whatever. Um, there's been problems with the deliverables, meaning there's been
Yep.
problems in executing. So I don't know all the details with respect to, do we just slam the Obama Foundation? Do we slam the general contractors? Do we slam the poor minority firms, or support and embrace them because they didn't get paid? For instance, so one Hispanic guy has 12 million coming, another African American guy has 40 million coming for concrete work, and that's just, you're not going to survive that shit if they don't figure that out. But on the other hand, there's been concerns about not meeting the deliverables, right? Not doing what you're
Yep.
supposed to. And then there's also been instances where I saw the guy, the Hispanic guy, and I forgot what type of contract. I think he did electrical, actually. I think he did electrical, maybe electrical or plumbing. And he had a bunch of change orders. So for those that aren't in construction or consulting, right? When you bid on something, you bid, it's going to cost, I'm just making it up, right? It's going to
Yeah.
cost me $100 million to do the concrete for the Obama library. It's way more than that, by the way. It's all concrete. $100 million. Okay, you sign it. Okay, we're going to do this, and we're going to, we got the blueprints, and it's going to cost us $100 million. A change order is if it's something that's out of scope of that plan to pour $100 million of concrete to build the structure of the library, right? So there might be other things as they move along. They say, "Oh, we want this here." It's a change order. "Oh, we want this."
Or a lot of
So
times they're unanticipated problems, as they're
yeah,
doing the excavating, they hit an area where there's a sinkhole or there's water. It's got to be pumped out. So it ends up
yeah,
adding to the cost of the job.
yeah. There's lots of variables, right? So I'm
Yeah.
trying to do this change orders for dummies, right? So and I'm not insulting you guys. I'm trying to make it easy. I'm not insulting you. So there's something to what Mike said, or something they decide, "Oh, we want to add this on there," right? So that's not in the scope of the contract or what you sign. So that's a change order. Well, a lot of times change orders are funny, man. Even my company, we'd try to hit them. We would lowball estimates. We would lowball estimates, and this is all our competitors. And then we'd fucking hit them with change orders once we get the contract. I swear to God, it happens all the time. And I know I'm not saying my company's name, but a lot of the Indian pure play IT consulting firms do that all the time. They'd always undercut me. And once they get the contract, they get their little all over the place, all little Indians, and they go, "Oh, we change here, oh, change here," and then they're as expensive as us, or if not more. And so the same thing happens in the construction industry. So
Oh
are
yeah.
the change orders valid or not? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, right? So that's some of the things, if you listen closely when these guys are talking about not getting paid for change orders, and then you have the main general contractor saying, "Oh, that's not a change order, asshole. You're trying to trick me." So there's some of that going on, right?
Yeah.
But in general, forget about whose fault it is, or who's not capable, or who's got the main contract. If you notice, you got these guys begging for help, right or wrong, right? These minority contractors. Well, you know what? You don't hear Obama Foundation coming up and trying to mediate, have you? Has anybody heard that?
Nope.
They don't give a shit, man. They could care less. I'm telling you, they don't give a shit. So that's a big problem. And they should come and put their stamp on it and say, hey, this is what's happening, right? Either these people screwed up, the general contractor screwed up. We did do a little bit of change on the scope and try to mediate that to resolve it one way or the other. And they're not doing that because they don't give a shit. Just like everything about Obama, he's a piece of shit. You don't care about his community. You don't care about his bullshit little construction empire that was built on the backs of small men in the South Side. And I meant to him small men, not small men to me.
Yeah.
I'm a union guy. My dad was a laborer, so that's a little background on that. He's a piece of shit. Now let's jump into the DEI. I mentioned that during my interview at Grant, and I have a really good friend, Italian buddy of mine. I'm not going to say his union. And so, Obama's DEI, I forgot the name of the consultant. They hired this expensive consulting company from some guy named Blackwell. That's it, Blackwell. I'm almost positive his name is. And African-American guy, of course. And then he's going to teach diversity, equity, inclusion as they build this monstrosity, right? So my buddy was there for a while. He was a foreman of the specific union that he oversaw. And before I interviewed with Grant, he told me, he goes, Tara, we had to have 1 hour of DEI training. He said, I had it 4 times over the time he was there. I don't know how long he was there, actually. And so they would have to be there at 7 in the morning and go through this training from 7 to 8. But get this, they don't get paid. They didn't get paid. They didn't get paid. So that was in the contract, the Obama Foundation contract. You had to train on diversity, equity, inclusion. So one of the things they taught was the apple tree story, which I never heard about. I don't know if you heard about it, Mike, before. Everything.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
Yeah, so it's the apple tree. And there's this big apple tree, and they use the example of the apple tree to these burly contractors, construction guys, all the different unions, not wanting to be there in the first place. And so the apple tree's got all the beautiful apples up there, right? And then one guy on this side has a ladder. That's the white guy, right? That's the white privilege. He has a ladder. Then you got the African-American guy on the other side without a ladder. And so its analogy is that, you could climb up there and take it with the ladder. But you know what? Jesus Christ, the black guy don't need a ladder. He could just jump up there like basketball. So it's kind of I don't know the whole details. That's how he explained it to me, right? So that they're explaining that, and
there's the graphic right there.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. And equality, equity, justice. What's the thing was leaning. I see it. Yeah, what a joke.
Exactly.
I see the bottom one. He's holding it up because it's leaning to the other side. So the other guy in the other ladder. Got it. That's a little more detailed than how my buddy described it. Well, he obviously wasn't paying attention. So these guys had to give up a whole hour of their time, right? And of course, they didn't get paid. Obama didn't pay them for it. And
the Democrats do like their slaves.
Yeah. So then here's another thing that they had to do. That happened. And I didn't, unfortunately, know about this until after I finished my interview last night with Grant, which would have been a big thing to talk about during the interview on Real America's Voice. I got a text he sent me here. I want to read this to you guys because this is important. Because I don't think you even know about this, Mike. Okay. It's one of my Dago buddies. It's not racist. I could say that. I'm Italian. All right. Okay. All right. I'm going to read this exactly. And just, he told me about this when he was there. I remember this specifically, but it was from years ago when he was working. That thing took forever to build, right? I just remembered. This came in after the Grant interview. I just remembered about the noose that was hanging on the first floor of the core at the Obama Center. So the core is like the main area where they come in. They had trailers out there. I remember he told me. So it's a core. It's like the main entrance area. They shut the job down for 3 days and put up $100,000 reward, leading to the person or persons that hung it up inside the core, whoever hung up the noose. Turns out, after the FBI came there for 3 days, they did not work for 3 days, these guys, because of the investigation. The only people that ended up being fired are the lesbian dyke DEA director and the lesbian dyke paramedic. Right? They probably went in there to, scissors each other, and then they put the noose up. They were seen on camera because there were cameras everywhere, and I remember him telling me this, going to the core, the center part, at 6 a.m. in the morning before people came in, and returning out of the core at 6:15. The DEI director at the Obama Center was carrying a heavy-looking bag into the core, and it was folded up with nothing in the bag on the way out 15 minutes later. They had no business to be in the core or to boot the entire core crew out of the building at the elevator shaft, which was black at the time, black, it was dark. There was no lights. After they shut the job down, the core crew and the column crew staged a wildcat strike for the pay we were owed. So it was a very heated time. So they were off of work for 3 days because of this stupid bullshit investigation into some news, which this is Chicago, right? This is Chicago. What happens with racist tensions? It's all bullshit in Chicago, right?
Yep.
So the guys got mad and they called a wildcat strike for the money they were owed for those 3 days. So the foundation bought everybody new work boots. This is a far cry from about the $1,200 we lost for 3 days of full work, not including the benefits that are attributed to us in our pay. This tension is all from a false flag operation, never left the job. I mean, it was nobody really talked about it that much. They did talk about it when the news came out. Oh, right, just like they talked about the cross, right? And I think we're going to talk about it. But
yeah,
typical bullshit. Like what's that other guy, that other fucking idiot that lied about being beat up?
Jesse Smollett.
Right? Bullshit. Cross bullshit. We all knew it was bullshit. This thing was bullshit.
Yeah, there's the BBC article about it.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, look at those idiots. Oh my God, what disgusting, isn't it?
Look at Big Mike with that shovel.
So there's another one, and maybe you could pull up a little bit about this while I'm talking about Valerie Jarrett. You know where I'm going with Valerie Jarrett, right?
Yep. Let me see if I still got it. I think I have this from the other day.
Yeah. So when they opened up, they had the grand opening. You had all the scumbag leftists, liberals, performers, all the people that we hate. Anybody with common sense or that's a conservative. And Valerie Jarrett, the Iranian traitor, Iranian traitor.
Yes.
She is. And she was talking about all these different Indian tribes. This is on stolen land. It's a big thing in the Chicagoland area. Stolen land. You hear all these libs talking about stolen land. And so she talked about the stolen land that the Obama Center was built on. Well, ironically, they didn't give these Indians anything on this stolen land outside of doing a little virtue signaling, right? That's all they did. They didn't give money to them. They didn't do anything. I think they had a couple of Indians that were probably half drunk and 25% Indian standing around them, probably not even all Indian. And they gave them nothing, I wouldn't give them anything anyway, but I wouldn't be virtual signaling. I wouldn't give them, because from the beginning of mankind, you've been conquered. I mean, everywhere. Look at the Romans, look at the Spartans, look at the Muslims, right? Everywhere. But all of a sudden, when we're here, it's off limits. It's bullshit. Columbus.
Yep.
They won't acknowledge Columbus anymore, which is bullshit. Racist. They're doing that. So you would think that since she's going to spend all this time acknowledging the Indians and the stolen land acknowledgement, they could have at least gave them a little fucking casino or something they could have threw up right next to the concrete slab, right? Or maybe they could have done some because African Americans are huge on reparations, right? I mean, Jesus Christ, you should. I mean, you guys, you thought you got screwed. What about these Indians? Give them some reparations. Give them some of the income that comes in from the Obama library, from the dues and the collections. But no, they just talk about virtue signaling and stolen land. Okay, we check that off. Let's move on to something else, right?
Exactly.
Scumbag, Marxists. They need to be whatever. I'm not going to say it.
Dude, I didn't know this till the other day. Do you know what that building is supposed to look like?
Hands.
Yeah, I'd never heard that before. It looks like a dumpster. It looks like one of those old trash cans they used to have with all the rocks glued all over the outside of them.
Yeah, it's ugly as shit. I mean, it's a monstrosity. And here's another thing too that came up that I had to look at the last minute that the producer sent me for Grant's show is, and I heard about this as well, and maybe you did, Mike. You hear everything I fucking say. You never not know everything that I say, and then you know it in detail. It's not a typical library, you guys. Did you hear that, Mike, or no? Not yet.
No. What?
Oh, I got something. You don't know? Holy shit!
Yeah. Fill me in on this.
Yeah, it is not a typical presidential library. They don't have all the presidential artifacts. It's an egotistical acknowledgement to his activism.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yes, they typically have all these components and this content and different elements of when he was the president and historical things that tie into his presidencies and decisions and signature. Yeah. Oh, it's all about his activism and all his bullshit. Swear to God. And on the top floor of that piece of concrete slab shit, he's got a 2,500 square foot Obama suite. He's got his own suite up there.
I'm not surprised.
He's got basketball. He's got basketball in there. Did you know that?
I did hear that they have a basketball court because, he put in the historic basketball court at the White House.
No, it's basketball.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah. I got to say it with a Chicago accent.
Yeah. So I did. Oh my God, that's the longest I ran it, isn't it? I'm like, holy shit! I went for like a half an hour with just very little conversation with you. So why don't you close this out, and then we'll transition into the stuff. Let's show our little commercial thing for my friend Terry.
Yeah.
I love
let's do
Terry.
this.
She's a rough and gruff South Side woman. Grew up right where I grew up. 87. I grew up at 88th and Colon, right between Cicero and Pulaski. 87th is the city boundaries. Terry went to Bogan Heights. There you go. So this Sunday, folks, Terry King is going to have a Pritzker Johnson Suck Obama Library donkey over by Bogan High School. It's 79th and Pulaski. 79th and Pulaski. That's this Sunday from 11 to 2. What Terry asked me to tell you folks, don't bring Trump this, Trump that, right? We're trying to appeal. This is the city of Chicago. So this is an anti-Pritzker, anti-Johnson. So we don't want to, even though we love Trump, right? We love Trump, and most people do. This is on it's a somewhat changing part of the city, right? But this is to emphasize the hate and disdain for B.J. Pritzker and Blowjob Johnson. All right? So you got anti-Pritzker, anti-Johnson, American flags, stuff like that. Just stay away from the Trump gear. Again, it's not because we're anti-Trump. She just wants the emphasis to show the hate and disdain for Johnson and Pritzker. So please, I'm going to try to go. I mean, it's my neighborhood. Maybe we'll go to Angie's Pizza afterwards. My friend Robbie Corso owns Angie's.
Nice.
All right, Mike. So why don't you say whatever the hell you want and then transition to our Antifa friends.
I'm getting something set up here for Johnson because isn't he like more concerned about the trans femicide state of emergency? Even though the city's had 200 murders so far this year, he just had I was trying to see 23 shot over the weekend for Juneteenth. I'm trying to see how many got killed.
Yeah, I think there was like an 8-person shooting or something, or 12 person.
One of them was ridiculous. That's what I'm trying to find right now. But I mean, I guess that's tip.
I think there was a 12-person shooting, Mike, and then like only 2 of them died. I got, like these guys, like the gangland murders and stuff. And I said
Yeah.
this about Trent Largo, and I wrote a little story about Trent. So you guys, I've been writing lots of stories. It's not because I was like really well known in high school for being a good creative writer. I barely got like a 2.0 grade point average. It's because of fucking AI, baby. I'm cranking that shit out. Good, but I control the content and I put my sarcasm in there. And so there's going to be a story coming out about the Tom Homan talked about the Trent Largo when there was an 8-person shooting back a couple Thanksgivings ago. And I was the first person, we'll jump on it when I finish telling the story. I was the first person to say this was TDA, Trent Largo, right? I was covering them all over Chicago and going in the centers and stuff. And I knew right away there was 4 men and 4 women shot on a set. I don't even think it was evening yet, right? I knew right away it was not far from Gage Park, which all the Venezuelans were. I knew right away it was TDA because you know what? The African American gangs or Hispanic, Latin Kings and stuff, they don't shoot women up like that. Now they will occasionally on accident or kill a baby, right? But it's on accident. It was not with intent. I knew immediately. I posted it that this has got to be Trent Largo. I talked to my Chicago cop buddy who told me off the record it was. So it later came out it was, and it was a vendetta for somebody that got killed in Venezuela. And so they just announced that one of the women from Venezuela was a teacher in Chicago about that time and was driving these TDA members at her house. It was in the news. I don't know if you saw that yet, Mike. And
yeah, I remember we talked about it a while back.
Yeah. So that just came out. And so I'm tying this back. So think about it. And a week later, after this 8-person shooting that they just started talking about yesterday because of that teacher, there was a Cicero police officer that was shot in the back. Ironically, that's where Al Capone is from. The following Sunday, this is all in 7 days, there was another TDA shooting of 4 people, 2 women and 2 men in a car.
Yeah.
So if you go back and think about St. Valentine's Day massacre, there was 7 people that were killed, right? 7 people shot, mass shooting. I guess they didn't call them back then. And we were known internationally to this day, because of the 7 people that were shot.
Yeah.
Gangland style. So a year and a half ago, in a week's time frame, we had 8 shot, 1 more than the St. Valentine's Day massacre. A police officer shot in the back, which the mobsters never did. Somebody could tell me, you look it up. When did we ever hear about a mobster shooting a police officer in the back, especially in Cicero, Illinois, where Al Capone's headquarters were? And then 2 days later, this is all in a week time frame. 4 people shot, 2 men and 2 women. 6 women shot in the gangland fighting in 2 shootings. Never happens, right? So now look at what just happened at June 13th. There was, if I'm wrong, Mike, there was 12 people shot, and I think 2 or 3 died.
It ended up being 23 were shot. I think it was 12 at one incident. It was 23 over the.
Yeah, I'm talking about one of the like a gangland type shooting, right? Which is a big deal.
Yeah.
So we're worse. Think about it, folks from Chicago. We are worse than the gangster days of Al Capone. And it's not even that, internationally known, right? Think about it.
Yeah. Dude, you're barely 6 months into the year. I guess you're barely into 6 months into the year, and you've already got 200 homicides. So you're on pace for 400 this year.
Yeah.
Congratulations, I guess.
Yeah. So, that's kind of disgusting. And I mentioned this on Grant, my interview with Grant, right? That the media is not covering it. I hosted Dana Kennedy from the New York Post here twice on Trent Largo and what's going on with the Venezuelans. I hosted Epoch Times here. I hosted a documentary, This is Treason, for my buddy J.J. Carroll, who now works for Homeland Security. And we're like, it's crazy, man. I mean, the stuff that's going on in the city is just crazy. And no one reports on it, right? I mean, once it becomes an afterthought, but Dana Kennedy from New York Post, now she's at Daily Mail, And she's like, why isn't anybody covering all this stuff? I took her around and showed her all this stuff. She's like, oh my God. And they don't. And Grant even said that on his interview. And I made a comment, and it was directed towards the media, and it was directed to Chicago slugs and mostly Democrats, but sometimes it's wannabe Republicans. Oh, you don't live in a city, man. You don't live there. Oh, you don't live in the city. So number one, I was raised and I was born. I lived in Marquette Park. Remember Marquette Park? And then I was 87th and Justine, which you'll be like murdered instantly now. And started grammar school there. Moved back out to 88th and Colon. My dad worked for the city. He used the city address. 87th Street is the city. And then I worked in the city for 30 years. I worked in the movies for like 10 years. When you come to film in Chicago, you film in the city, right? They're here for the skyline.
Yeah.
And then I worked for Cap Gemini for 23 years out of Chicago. That's over, you know what I mean? So it's kind of funny. You got these jerk off slugs from Chicago. Democrats want to be Republicans, media, whatever, trying to say we don't have the right to talk about Chicago. Well, Chicago is a slug sewer infested shithole. And the shithole leaks into my neighborhood, my community, my taxes, just like the Obama library did.
Yeah.
Right? We're spending more money on the fucking Obama library than the people in Chicago who don't even pay taxes anyway. Most of them at the federal level. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, your problem is my problem. Your problem is my kids' problems. Your safety problems that you allowed happening for being a sanctuary city and a state, by the way, but mostly Chicago, is my problem for me, my family, my kids, work, my wife when they go into Chicago. So don't sit there and think that you have a right to criticize or to talk about or to investigate the city of Chicago. And by the way, acting like you're from Chicago, I would be embarrassed to say I'm from fucking Chicago anyway. So I wanted to get that
Yeah.
off my chest. All right, Michael, let's get into Antifa.
Yes, let's get Nate. Yeah, well, Johnson didn't want to talk about all the murders. He wanted to talk about how apparently there's a trans femicide state of emergency when he questioned him about it. But yeah, let me pull up the Antifa stuff. Give me 1 second.
Oh my God.
I hear you on that.
Oh, I hate that. Looks like that gay guy that did a show on me in Chicago.
It might be. I think that's the F around and find out guy. Hang on. But yeah, I guess we kind of already touched on this at the beginning, but they're already freaking out. And I also just saw a California judge now is going to prevent ICE from arresting people at courthouses. They just put in a nationwide injunction to stop them from making arrests.
Well, just so you know, some of you probably saw, I think it became national news. It was Bridgeview Courthouse where they arrested that guy. Did you guys see that earlier this week?
Which guy are we talking about?
3-4 ICE agents got dragged a guy out. The kid was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, holy shit, that's Bridgeview. That's where I grew up. That's my courthouse. That's where I took the circus clown to court. Everyone knows what that is. And that's my backyard. That's where I got sentenced from. That's where my battery's from. See these lumps here? Those are from fights over in the South Side. I had many hearings in that courthouse. And I knew right. I'm like, holy shit, it's Bridgeview. And I know when Ben and I were hanging with the ICE agents and they were doing something up at DuPage County and Wheaton. They didn't go in. They waited till the illegal was out on the street in County Farm Road. But Pritzker said you can't go into it. They don't have to fucking listen to them, right? When I saw that, I was so happy. They don't have to listen to Pritzker. They don't have to listen to Cook County. This is a federal government, right? You can't have states or local communities telling the feds what to do or not to do. You just can't, or we're not a country, right?
Yeah.
So now they're freaking out, right? And you know what? Why shouldn't they be able to be arrested when they're in court? If they're illegal and they committed a crime, what are the rules for arrest? Right? I mean, you can't go and, kick down a door without a search warrant and stuff. And there's different restrictions and justification when you're doing a search warrant or when it's an illegal. But if they're here illegally and and you know why they're in a courthouse? Because they committed another crime.
Well, exactly. Yeah, they can already, ICE can issue administrative warrants to arrest anybody that's here illegally. They don't need a judge. And that is the law. It's been the law for 100 years, but now all of a sudden it matters to the left. Looks like Trump just got a Supreme Court victory too. They're going to let them do continue the expedited deportations and strip green card holders accused of other crimes. And then he just won another on lower appeals court. Oh, sorry, lower appeals court was swift deportations. Supreme Court victory is easier to deport criminal green card holders accused of crimes involving moral turpitude.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm looking up right now. Keep talking, Mike. I want to see about this time for the Antifa folks.
Oh yeah, like the original crimes in Texas, or
yeah. Keep talking. I'm going to look up and see why they got so much time.
Oh yeah, go for it. Well, we also got this. The left really is just the party of mental illness. They're out there in D.C. right now protesting for the rights of algae, but mental illness has become a political identity, and surprise, surprise, it's mostly on the left. I think there's more just like a confirmation of what we already knew.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had my phone ring through here somehow.
Charges and convictions. 9 defendants went to trial, convicted March 26. Providing material support to terrorists, rioting, conspiracy to use and carry explosives during a riot, attempted murder, firearms offenses. Several others pled guilty to material support charges. This is framed as the first federal Antifa terrorism case. President Trump's 2025 executive order designating Antifa a domestic terrorist organization. Why the long sentences as of June 23rd? Severity of crime, shooting a police officer, attempted murder, use of explosives, fireworks launched at a federal facility, attacking law enforcement, targeting a detention center, elevated this far behind the standard protest. Federal guidelines for terrorism-related offenses, firearms, assaults on officers carry high mandatory minimums. That's a federal case, 10 to 20 years, and allows stacking on counts. So, like my state and federal ones, you have consecutive and concurrent, right?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, if you have you ever hear, you watch the news, they get 5 charges, right? They're like, oh shit. In most cases, they're called concurrent. So say if you have 5 charges, you only got 3, the other 2 are thrown out. You got 3 charges. Typically, they'll run them concurrent. So you might have a charge for break and entry, another one for robbery, another one assault with a deadly weapon. That's 5, 5, and 5. That's 15 years. Typically, they'll run them concurrent. So all those 3 charges of 5 years each that equal 15 are only 5 years. But if the judge wants to screw you, he'll say they're consecutive. That means 5 plus 5 plus 5. That's 15 years, right? So that's when the judge wants to screw you. Okay, so let me see what happened there. Song, the leader and the shooter, sentenced to 100 years. Holy shit. It was the maximum or near it. Mike, you said that earlier, for attempted murder and other charges. Others received decades, 30 to 70 years reported for several. I didn't see 70 on there. Holy shit, did you?
I didn't. I'm checking right now.
I'm with the 30 to 60 year range. Combined sentences for all 8 defendants, 450 years. Terrorism enhancement post-conviction under Antifa designation material support statute, which carries stiffer penalties and deters attacks on federal facilities. They emphasize premeditation and anti-government ICE movement. So what they do is what this is saying, oh yeah, there is 70 years, right?
Yeah, I just saw it.
They get what's called an enhancement, right? So there's federal guidelines. So federal guidelines was implemented in the 90s to try to eliminate a disparity in sentencing. So like they would say, oh, in diversity, equity, inclusion, we don't want the white guys to get less than the black guys, so they pretty much fucked everybody. So there is still way, it's hard to waver from those guidelines, but there's reductions and there's enhancements. And that's the flexibility of what the feds have, the U.S. attorneys have. Enhancements to make it go up outside the guidelines, or reductions to go below. So, U.S. District Judge imposed lengthy terms, viewing it as an ambiguous violent attack rather than protected speech or protest. And this is ironic. That's why one reason I wanted to talk about this with Mike, right? So the
Yeah.
left, it's free speech. It's free speech. Well, what the hell happened about our free speech at January 6th, right?
Well, yeah, there's a lot less violence at January 6th than at any of these, fiery but mostly peaceful protests the left likes to have. I mean, they tried to kill a cop. I mean, that alone, this isn't speech. Firing a 9mm at somebody is not your words. But the left thinks, their violence is words, an expression of their pent-up rage and their emotion. But our words are violence.
Yeah, and you know what? Mike and I think Mike, I know Mike agrees on this. Anybody
Yeah.
that outright fought with police officers at January 6th needed to be punished.
Yes.
Now, with that said, that doesn't mean they get locked up in the hole with cruel, unusual punishment for a year or so, and they don't have the right to a speedy trial, and they get like 5 years for fighting with the federal cop, especially if it's their first time in trouble. If they have different circumstances and they had a record that's different, but a lot of them didn't, and they don't deserve 5 years. And this is not
No.
coming from Terry Newsom, the fucking felon. It's coming from my friends that are police officers, right? They say,
Yeah, I mean, look.
they're lucky to get arrested for beating these guys beating them up. Go ahead, Mike.
There's J6ers that did over a year in prison that never set foot inside the Capitol building.
Yeah.
I mean, it's disgusting.
What about their freedom of speech? What about their, due process? You guys said shit. Matter of fact, you enabled Antifa was embedded throughout the whole Capitol. I don't care what anybody says. That prick Brian Shapiro I debated with. No such thing as Antifa. They weren't at the Capitol. They didn't get arrested. No, they were everywhere. I was there. They were fucking everywhere. And it's kind of odd to say that Antifa wasn't there when they were there in December, November, October. Every event that we had before Trump was out of office, they were everywhere, attacking, fighting, throwing tables over, antagonizing families, getting into hotels. And then all of a sudden, January 6th, not one Antifa? Come on, guys. Right?
Well, I mean, even if they want to call themselves something else, they're still the same thing. Look where they were literally terrorizing the ICE agents out at these hotels and attacking them up in Minnesota just a few months ago. No big arrests there, no massive prison sentences. Most of them get slaps on the wrist. So I'm glad they're actually getting some justice in this case, and they can whine and cry about these aren't life sentences, these are death sentences. That's what they're saying. Is all these people are going to be in jail until they're dead. Well, you know what? Maybe they can be a message to others, but they're not going to do anywhere near the amount of time they've been sentenced to. The lady that got 100 years, or the she that got 100 years. It'll maybe do 50. Dude, I don't know. I don't know anymore. With these people, I'm just never sure.
Yeah. So I'll tell you why they got this long sentences besides the justification from a terrorist organization. And just so you know, folks, that's what they were trying to do with the Proud Boys. They were trying to do that with the Proud Boys. That's why Enrique and Stuart Rhodes, right?
Yep.
That's what, even though it wasn't formally designated as a terror organization, that's what they're trying to falsely label them in as justification to get a quarter of a century in prison, even though they weren't there when any violence occurred. There wasn't an insurrection, and they got 25 years. So I guess these guys were absolutely involved there. Weapons, attempted murder, conspiracy. So some of these people were out on pre-trial while others were detained. Holy shit! If I got 50 years, I'm running.
Yeah, I'll take my chances and head to Mexico.
Yeah, just so you guys know, let's see. Sanchez was released on 150K. Mixed pretrial statuses. So just so you guys know, When you get a federal prison sentence, you got to do 85%. It used to be like 25 back in the old mobsters told me, But
Wow.
then thanks to the Democrats, Bill Clinton and Joe Biden, they flipped it. You got to do 85%. So the way it works in state prison, at least it did in 1980, so for my case, I had 2 4-year sentences that ran concurrent. So that means they ran together. So it said, 8 years, but it's really 4 years. I had 4 years of sentence. In the state of Illinois, back in 1985, you had to do 50% of your time. So you get 4 years, you only have to serve 2 years. And there was a lot of overcrowding then because of the Democrats, right? There was lots of overcrowding in the war on drugs.
Yep.
And then in the state of Illinois, you are eligible to be assigned to work release after you serve 1 year. So I know my right-hand guy he went in shortly after me, and I'm not going to say his name. You're probably watching, buddy. No, I'm not going to say your name. But he changed his life too. He's got a great big job. And I was so fucking pissed, man. He got out. I mean, I'm glad for him, but he got out after 6 months because of overcrowding.
Wow.
I think he had 4 + 3. I think he had 4 + 3 years. And but it ran together. And he didn't have to do the year. He went to a farm. Actually, he went to Stateville. He used to have a farm. And because of overcrowding and stuff, he got to go to a farm. I started out in Joliet, then I went to Lincoln Correctional, and then I came back through Joliet on work release. So that's the difference. Federal prison, you do 85% of your time. It's constrained and structured by the mandatory minimum guidelines that were executed under Clinton and their war, against the minorities, and Biden, who hates minorities, even though you idiots voted for him. And then on the state side, you do 50% plus whatever. And then when they say you have, you get good time if you screw up. So that little 15%, or on the state side, the 50% is to try to keep the inmates to do good and not get in trouble in prison. That's what that's for. It's a reward. You don't get fucking crazy in jail, we'll give you a reward. Well, a lot of people screw up. Some guys go in and they screw up. They never get out. They never get out because they keep getting new charges inside prison.
Yeah.
So what else we got, Mike? Anything else? Wow. Holy shit, we're over.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I got queued up is, Trump's guy won in Colombia. They're freaking out about that because of the way the map looks in South America now. Let me pull this up real fast. Trump-backed El Tigre wins a presidential runoff in Colombia, further eroding socialist control of South America. Basically just leaves Brazil and Angola, and who gives a shit about Angola? That's under leftist control down there. Also, they could count their votes in one night. California is still not supposed to be done for another 2 weeks.
Well, think about it. India has how many billion some people? They
1 billion people.
24 hours.
Yeah.
However they vote then, right? So you're going to tell me there's not corruption and cheating?
Dude, it's obvious. I guess there was some other announcement on that earlier because, the feds are investigating, but I've read through the article and I don't really see what's new. So maybe there'll be some more out about that later tonight.
Yeah, what's funny is that map that you showed of South America is that on the left, it's all red, like on the right. Get that joke?
Yeah.
On the left, it's all red. On the left of the country, it's red. And
yes.
The right is blue. Get that?
And I see what you did there.
Yeah. So, couple things. Let's see. We're oh Jesus, we forgot to bring up Julie's thing that we're co-hosting Behind Enemy Lines. Do you still have that from last week?
I don't have it handy. No.
Is it like if I send it to you, does it take too long?
Let me see if I can pull it out of if I deleted it completely or not.
July 9th, we're co-sponsoring Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. You guys, it's huge. The guy's awesome. Mike and I had him on the show.
Yes,
I love not like LGBTQ love.
I've got it right here. I found it.
Yeah, put that up. I'll talk about it.
Yeah, go ahead, and I'll have it up in a second.
Yeah, so on the 9th, we have Lieutenant Colonel West coming in to Chevy Chase Country Club. It's a Thursday night. I think 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock starts. And you got to come. The guy is awesome. He's so smart. He's a nice guy. I mean, awesome. He's one of my favorite guests too. I mean, just talking to him and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So Mike and I were behind it. Mike's in Ohio, so he can't be here. But we are going to be the co-hosts along with AM 560. Wow, we're with the big guys now.
Yeah.
AM 560, and then we have Behind Enemy Lines has a table. And so I'll be there. We have Jenny McGuire and Tommy McIntosh from AM 560 from The Unsafe Space. Waiting to hear back from John Anthony and his wife. Mickey Scornavaco is going to be there. Hey, Mickey Scornavaco. Lisa Ford, we're going to be there. It was supposed to be. She's part of Behind Enemy Lines. And hopefully you guys can come.
Lieutenant Colonel Alan West as keynote speaker for the America 250 celebration.
Sorry,
Join us
supposed to be
Thursday,
playing,
July
but I guess it
9th,
is.
Chevy Chase Country. VIP reception at 5 p.m. Shooting range with Colonel West at $50. Sign up today. Announcing Lieutenant Colonel Alan West as keynote speaker for the America 250 celebration. Join us Thursday, July 9th, Chevy Chase Country. VIP reception at 5 p.m. Shooting range with Colonel West at $50.
Sorry, that wasn't supposed to play.
No, that's fine. That was good. So, holy shit. I wonder if my wife will let me use her Burma gun. Her air gun. I wonder if I could use the air gun, because I'm a felon. I can't shoot a real gun. I'll ask my wife. I'm being sarcastic, so I bought my wife an air gun for Christmas. And one of these scumbag stalkers. There's scumbag stalkers, so I can't own a gun. But my life's been threatened by Actually, been threatened back in the 80s. I've been threatened to be killed a long time ago, but now by Antifa, which I'm not really scared of because I think I could fart and knock them over. I don't even need a gun. But I bought my wife a air gun for Christmas, for last Christmas, 2 Christmases ago. Or no, last Christmas. I'm losing track of time. And I
that feeling.
Oh, felons can own guns. Felons can own guns. Well, actually, everywhere in the United States except Illinois, it's an air gun. It's a glorified paintball gun. So
Yeah.
Maxi Pad Rice and his little clan of, swollen clits sent my screenshot, and the little Antifa guys that hang out with Jeff Tischhauser sent it to Illinois State Police, DuPage County Sheriff, DuPage County State's Attorney, Illinois Attorney General. Dangerous felon buys air gun. You guys are responsible. I got the emails, right? You're responsible if someone is hurt. This guy's dangerous. He bought an air gun. Well, it was a gift for my wife for Christmas, by the way. But
Yeah.
I know you guys are watching. So here, this is for you. It's my air gun.
People are pathetic.
So I'm not going to be here this Thursday, right? You're going to have who? Noah, who's your guest? I know.
We got, what's his name again?
Gibbons.
What's that? Yeah, Patrick Gibbons. Yeah,
You
him
guys
and
know-
I will be on. I don't think Noah's going to be able to make it. I think he had something else. But yeah, Patrick Gibbons and I will be on. We got a lot to discuss about his prior career while he's in radio and some other things that happened around that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't make it, but it's probably better off because I think the guy's going to go off on lots of people.
Sounds like it.
Give me some breathing room. So, Mike and Patrick will be hosting the show.
Yep.
I hope you guys have fun. I imagine it's going to be interesting. He's got a lot of pent up anger. I think he wants to unleash on some of the frauds that are in the city of Chicago. Big time.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Yeah, stay tuned. We'll be here for that Thursday, starting at 7 p.m. Central. Should be a good show. But I guess that's it for anything else you want to add in here before we wrap up?
So we're gonna listen. We're having some big guests come on in the near future. Victor David Hansen's one of them. We got some. We're gonna have some big guests. It's my fault because I've been just too distracted doing some other things. Moving. My mom's really, really sick. My dad almost died. My mom almost died. My mom's really bad this week. I'm kind of worried, and so it's been kind of crazy. But we will have some more guests. We're going to fix our little technical problems than some of the stuff that we're working on to make the show a little bit better for you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys, thanks for being here tonight. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear.